So maybe you realize this or not, but we seem to be embedded within and enmeshed with a kind of matrix or network or gradient or spectrum of manipulation, influence, and or control. So how adults usually view religion, how a child views Santa Claus, how a guy picking up a girl in a bar, and how a car salesman relates to you. What do these things all have in common? What do these four examples really share? Well, basically, the mechanics of all of these things and what really allows it to function and work, what's the driving force, what's the engine, what's the fuel for it, is really the complex of guilt and fear that we are all given when we come into this modern world. Through a lot of different functions and through a lot of different avenues, these things are put into us. That's all I'll say about that in this video. So basically that is the engine, that is the mechanics of really how a lot of these things work. Now how? What do I mean? Well, let's say, you're gonna buy a car. Car salesman, of course, is gonna be your best friend. He's gonna try to really build rapport with you and have, just make you feel really good, make you feel really comfortable. Now, if you left the dealership thinking, wow, this guy's my best friend, we're gonna hang out next week, we're gonna be buds, I think most people would say, wow, you're really kind of naive. Do you not realize this guy is just a car salesman? He cares about his commission, he cares about making that money, because that's really the industry. He's basically kind of doing and saying whatever he needs to do to get you to do what he wants you to do, which is buy a car. And then let's say you don't want to. Well, typically they're going to go logic, oh, that's going to fail, and then eventually it's going to have to go to emotions. It's going to have to go to either guilt or fear, like fear, scarcity. Oh, well, I got 5 other people calling about this. Or guilt being, look, I'm just, you're the customer. You can just walk in, you can do whatever you want. But for me, I got 3 kids, and, I love cars. I love helping people. I love, doing my job, and I'm just really here trying to help you. And you're going to really start going on this whole guilt thing. And then you're going to be like, oh. And so that's one example. But the real takeaway of that is the mechanics, for one, and also that if you walked out of there thinking, oh, we're buds, we're going to hang out, people would be like, come on, man, dude's a car salesman, doesn't give a fuck about you. So that's one example. Next example is if you're in a bar, for some reason, let's say you're an attractive woman at a bar, and the bar closes at 11 p.m. and it's 10:45. And all of a sudden, there's a handful of guys in the bar that just want to be your best friend, want to come over and hear all about your life, hear all about your fears, your worries, what makes you passionate, or they just want to tell you how beautiful you are, how amazing you are, some overtly ridiculous thing. Now, I understand this example is really generic and funny, but it illustrates the point to that degree. Now, it's 10:45. The bar closes at 11. There's not really that many other attractive women in the bar, and these dudes are drinking, so you can pretty well fairly assume they actually don't really care about me, because I've been here for an hour and they could have talked to me the whole time, but now all of a sudden they want something from me? Oh, interesting. And then usually what they're going to try to work with is some mechanism off of your guilt or fear, or your lack of value. Meaning, oh, I'm going to compliment your appearance, tell you how great you are. Oh, wow, someone validated me. Yay. He must be a good person. So, 2 examples. Third example is, let's say you've ever watched the news, and it's Christmas time, for example, which is pretty much what it is right now. And the news person's asking a little child, maybe 6 years old, oh, what's Santa going to bring you this year? What did you ask Santa for? What did you write Santa for? Kid gets all excited and it's like, oh, wow, I did this and I did that, and I'm going to go to bed really early, I'm going to bake cookies, I'm going to do all this stuff, and no. And adults look at that and be like, oh, that's cute. You know, I remember when I used to believe in Santa. If we were to, and I encourage you to look up videos on YouTube of kids or watch the news and see this. It'll probably be happening. And especially on Christmas Eve, will be like the weather radar with like Santa's sleigh on it as Santa's making his trip around the world. So yeah, watch that. And then also, what I really want to say is when you see an adult and they're talking about, yeah, well, you just got to believe in Jesus and you just got to give your heart over and you just have to follow these rules and you just have to not do these things and then maybe you'll get the carrot and your life will be better and this and this, this and this, this and this. To me, mechanically speaking, psychologically speaking, in terms of what's not psychotic or imaginary, it's the same thing as all of the other examples that I've just looked at. It works on the same mechanics. So what's fear? Well, fear is how you condition a child or a dog. If you don't want your dog to pee on the carpet, pees on the carpet, and then you associate in its brain peeing on the carpet with bad things, fear, pain, because all the dog wants is like approval and attention from its owner. But then it gets the opposite of that. It's like, oh God, this is horrible. You know, that's how things are trained. It's called, you know, kind of in a way Pavlovian, whatever. And then eventually you don't even have to do that because that pattern is so wired in their nervous system, they basically control themselves most of the time. Or perhaps you trigger that to certain words or certain looks. You know, they instead of you having to physically hit them and say something and look and have a certain feeling, you can eventually just back off and say the word or have the feeling, and they will have the same reaction in their nervous system. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's how we've been trained as well. Like, it's the same. And it's the same mechanics. That's how these organizations work. And when we talk about fear and guilt, well, fear. If you don't do these things, then all this bad shit's going to happen to you, allegedly. But if you do these good things, and these good things will happen to you. It sounds like fear. You know, if you're not a good boy this year, whatever the fuck that actually is, then you're not going to get any toys from Santa Claus. But wait, Santa Claus is completely imaginary. It's actually just a strange, odd thing we do to children. Well, it's like, hey, welcome to this world, child. We love you. We're going to tell you about a dozen things that are all completely untrue, and then gradually we're going to pull them out from under you as you get older. Because it's like fun and it's enjoyable. What? So there's no other way to have fun and enjoyment. Really? So then who's the stupid one? Who's the uncreative one who can't find alternative means to do something? I don't know. So guilt. What is guilt? Oh, that was bad. Oh, and to abuse myself. I deserve it. I deserve punishment. I deserve bad things. I deserve what I get. I deserve to not get any toys because I was bad. And that's really not even considering the fact that that level of looking at things is so small, so ignorant, meaning ignoring so many things. That level of morality, that level of looking at the world and living life is really small. And not only that, it's really actually offensive and violent to what we actually are as human beings and what our life experience actually is. Because it sets us up to really treat ourselves and kind of like Pavlovian dogs. Oh, it was bad. I need to beat myself up. Or I need to be healthy. I'm going to go to the gym and suffer. And how I know I'm healthy is because I'm in pain. I mean, if we lived in, maybe if we didn't live in, but if we theoretically lived in a feudalistic hierarchy where there was the ruling elites above and basically the peasants below, and you wanted the peasants to willingly accept and really enjoy their servitude and enjoy them struggling and working their whole life for peanuts, then they would take a certain kind of psychological predisposition, a certain kind of conditioning, a certain kind of mechanism to allow that to really work. And obviously we don't live in anything like that because we live in a democracy. Which actually reminds me of my other example. So we had the car salesman, which we could see, like, obviously, dude, this guy is just trying to get something from you. We see the guy at the bar, which, what's up with me? Why am I being sexist? Why are all the bad people men? Ugh. Just reiterating that gender stereotype. It's the insecure, immature masculine. That's really the problem. We just got to be more feminine. Yeah, really. Anyways. The third example is the kid naive, like, oh, it's Christmas. Look, Santa's on the radar. Fourth example being an actual adult, quote unquote, at least a physiological adult, an adult who's reached sexual maturity. That's technically adult. Psychologically, emotionally, that's maybe a different conversation. But anyways, an adult, quote, is also like, yeah, I just gave my heart to Jesus and now I'm saved, and I'm just following these vague rules from this vague Bible that's just basically a hodgepodge and a reorganization of a bunch of different other things that were all stolen. I don't actually know any of the history. I haven't actually studied any of it. I don't really know where any of this stuff comes from. I just pick and choose little things which fit and serve my agenda and validate my own insecurities, which were given me by this thing, but somehow this thing's going to get rid of them. It doesn't really make any sense. And I'm studying a version of the Bible which was put together by historically one of the most violent and insane rulers of all time, i.e. King James. But let's just put all that aside because it's all about compassion and understanding. Wait, how is Christianity one of the most violent and bloody religions on the planet? Oh, wait. It's all about compassion and understanding. Well, it's compassion and understanding for who and what? Oh, probably the Pope or probably God because they're the ones. Anyways, I said I was going to be concise. Damn it. So the fifth example is when people, is what happened just in America with politics. Trump's going to save us. Hillary's going to save us. Bernie's going to save us. Oh my God. Really? That's the same thing as saying, my car salesman is my best friend. He stole me this car and he was really excited about it. He gave me $100 off, and now we're best friends. No, he doesn't give a fuck about you. Neither do politicians. They do not give zero fucks about you. They just psychologically understand how completely unaware you are of these kind of mechanisms. And they just reflect back to you what's going to trigger you in a Pavlovian way to shut off your actual critical thought and just respond in a highly emotional way. And if you don't believe me, look at videos. Why do they have political rallies? You know who else to have political rallies? Like, look up a video of a Nazi rally and then watch that, and then watch a video of like a Trump, Bernie, or Hillary rally. Wait, looks pretty similar. Sure, there's a few differences. Some are adapting to our biases because we're obviously better than them. But interesting. Yeah. So hopefully, with these 5 examples that are all obvious, easy to see, you can go on YouTube. You can watch these things yourself. You can look at them and try to, just calm the emotional reaction for a little bit, or calm the Pavlovian response, and just be like, what's going on here? Just enjoy it. Enjoy the show. So that's 5 examples. It's a lot more than I thought. So hopefully that's been helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.